Good evening, dear friends. Tayyir Chassidim. We're going to get together for some time now and dedicate this evening to the most special group of individuals that exists upon planet Earth. They are us parents. A group of neshamas that has been destined to be those educating the soldiers, the frontliners, ushering in the era of the Geula. And it's not a simple task. Tonight is a special night. Tonight begins Chof Cheshvan, the birthday, and the Mazali Goiver, the strengthening of the mazel of the Rebbe Rashab, fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, and the founder and the visionary of Tomchei Tmimim, which his life's mission gives us clarity till today and defined our roles and the roles of our children, those that in the final moments of Golus illuminate the darkness, carrying the torch, the bright light of Elikus. And we're going to take the time tonight. I want to gift each and every one of you the time. Just turn your phones off. Dedicate the time now. Sit down for Chassidishe Farbrengen. Let's rededicate and recommit ourselves to our life's mission, to the reason our neshama is down here, to gain clarity. Again, what we're doing here with our children and how to navigate the whirlwinds and the waves, the tornado that's going on around us. I'm going to relate to some questions that parents asked me to discuss. And in general, let's be uplifted. Today's the day. So l'chaim, schus of the Rebbe Rashab, and the schus of all the generations that are waiting for us to complete the mission of Zman HaGolos. L'chaim, let's get the job done. Let's get it done well. L'chaim. So before I bring up the topics that many wanted to have discussed, let's take a moment to explore what Tomchei Tmimim is, what a Tamim is, what Neiros Lahoyer, the Lamternchik, the lamplighter, the Rebbe Rashab envisions and sees in each and every one of us. As we know, the neshamas were selected. So, when we navigate our day-to-day life and the daily grind, we slowly take on the perspectives of the world around us and the weight of all the things that fall upon us, all the responsibilities, all the crisis that we deal with, and slowly we move into tunnel vision. We don't get a chance to see the broader picture. And the first step in, again, revitalizing our passion to Ruchniyus, our commitment to the Eibishter, the Shvuah, as the Alter Rebbe begins Tanya, the oath our neshama took, and the fact that Shvuah Malashon Masbiin Oisai, that they satiated our neshamas, empowered it with all the vitality it needs to be able to plow through and get the job done with flying colors. And we need to take a step back. And I'm going to share a story of the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab had a cousin that was a secular Yid and was a leader in his movement, a Haskalah movement, if I remember correctly. And there was this going understanding between all the followers of the Rebbe Rashab, obviously the Chassidim of the Rebbe Rashab, and the followers of this cousin, that if they'll only meet, they'll win over the other side. And therefore they were all silently awaiting the day that the Rebbe Rashab and his cousin would meet. That they finally came to pass. And when they met, they met. They sat, ba'ar ba'inayim, one-on-one. And afterwards, the Chassidim were dissipating into, the thirst of knowing what they spoke about and how it transpired, as well as his followers. And interestingly enough, I'm going to dedicate a little bit more time to his perspective on the Rebbe Rashab than the Rebbe Rashab's reaction to him. The Rebbe Rashab said that even if he would have been by Kriyas Yamsuf, he would have found a Hezber to try to explain it in Teva. He wasn't impressed with him. And what he said about the Rebbe Rashab is very profound. He said, I've met many Yiddish leaders, Rebbes, Rabbanim, Rosh Yeshivas, and they all exist in the merit of the ghetto model, which means it's due to the fact that they're not involved in the world that they're able to maintain their world vision. Had they been within this world, it wouldn't last. He said the Rebbe Rashab is the only one. He used the following words: Yedeas ha'olam miskaven limrid boy, which is a play off the lashon in regards to Amalek. Yedeas ha'esribonim miskaven limrid boy. He said about the Rebbe Rashab, not only he knows this world, he doesn't shy away from it, he doesn't turn a blind eye. He knows this world, umiskaven limrid boy, and the world is part of, so to speak, part of his vision is incorporating this world within his world's vision. His plan is to rebel against this world and transform this world. And that's a very, very ambitious vision. And obviously this is the Eibishter's vision. This is the garden the Eibishter expects to see from this world. And how does that happen? How do we spread the light in these final moments of Galus? So I'm going to talk for a few moments about a concept by Chassidim called the Chassidishe Chush, a sense which is a sensitivity to something. Friedrich Rebbe explains the difference between a Chush to a Kishron. Kishron is a talent, but a talent can be, it's kosher. Kishron lashon muchshar. If you train yourself enough, many people will be able to do it. When we talk about a chush, which means a sense, it's either you have it or you don't. Okay? Many people know how to play around with Canva today. You don't need to be a graphic designer. There's basic functions and you play with them. There's a special chush, a sense that the person that has a chush, a knack for design, has a sensitivity to. And what we're referring to here is a chush and ruchniyus. When you'll see a person that has a chush and ruchniyus, and you'll know it right away. He has a sensitivity to things that are beyond what's going on. He has a different view. He sees this world differently. And it takes tremendous effort to maintain such a chush, and it takes very little to lose it. Okay, I'm just going to bring a funny example just to get the point across, and then we'll delve deeper into it. There was, there's many emojis that could be used when you're using WhatsApp, right? And I had a friend that told me that at the beginning he was super uncomfortable to send certain emojis. There's like a monkey that covers its eyes, and he was thinking, it's a treifechaya. And then there's another one that shows power, and it's not ruchniyusdike. It's like the whole arm till the. And even the thumbs up was very prost, very coarse, very casual, back and forth. You're talking to somebody, how long do you think it lasted? He got it 3 times, he forwarded it, he sent it, copy, paste, sent a few times, and it disappears. Our chush and ruchniyus is something to fight for. And by Chassidim, there's a famous description from the diary of the Friedrich Rebbe. If I'm not mistaken, it was when the Friedrich Rebbe was together with his father, the Rebbe Rashab, the Bal Yom Holedas, in Menton, in a kurort, a resort for health, a health resort. And the Rebbe Rashab was explaining the Friedrich Rebbe the milas, the tremendous benefits and tremendous advantages, somebody that thinks Chassidus before davening with his talis on his shoulder. And the Rebbe Rashab tells the Friedrich Rebbe, after explaining all these brachas, he says, you should know that Sekumt Nishzu, this all it pales in comparison to the greatness and the reichkeit, the richness and the reichkeit of having a chush and a tevetana yid. A chush, that means a sense to care for another yid, to be able to sigh sheer in his pain and feel what another yid is going through, and to rejoice in his simcha. The Chassidim would daven to have this chush. There was a Tamim, I heard this from a named Ramatal Kozliner. Chassidishe Maisa. Ramatal Kozliner was a Baal Mesiras Nefesh, big Chassid in Russia, Samarkand. And Ramatal, he said the following. He chazed from a Tamim in Lubavitch that he was very close with. His name was Reb Chaim Kevish. Reb Chaim Kevish, in his older years, he passed away without children. He didn't have children. And he was a big chassid, Oived Hashem be'emes. And he needed to be taken to the hospital, and Bachrim from the yeshiva would go and put on tefillin with him, make sure he could do all his inyanim properly. And at some point, when the Bachrim were there, a nurse came in to give him an Einspritz injection. And, you have to beef up the arm to be able to get, some flesh to put it in the needle. And he jumped away. So the Bachrim said, it's not a problem halachically. I mean, she's a girl, but it's malachta, suga b'malachta. And b'chlal, you're an elter yid. He said the following words. A chush tarminish verlieren. A sensitivity, you're not allowed to lose it. Fight for it. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because for us to maintain, to steer clear in this world, we have to have sensitivity to gätlichkeit. This will be a guiding factor in many, many decisions in our life. And this is what our children will take from us. And therefore, we have to rekindle this passion. It's super easy to there's a Polish Gute Yid, a Rebbe, Polish Rebbe, that once found himself, he was in a little house. He was an old man. And a cleaning lady came in and she was cleaning the room. And he was mamish, zikna muflaga, and he jumped out of the window. And someone asked what happened. So they asked him, were you afraid of the Avera? You were afraid to pass it? So he said, no, I wasn't afraid of the Avera. I was afraid of the paskutzma from that. I was afraid of the smell of the Avera. This sensitivity to stay away, to jump back from things that don't smell right is an unbelievable bracha and an unbelievable avoda as well. Shir Sicha, the Rebbe Farbrengen, was an Achron Shel Pesach, Tafshin, either Yud Zayin or Daled, or the years around there, where the Rebbe shared a story that the Rebbe Rashab went together with Reb Chaim Brisker to fight against certain amendments the Minister of Education wanted to institute in the Russian government, into the institutions, into Gzeiris, good old. And the Rebbe Rashab was fighting, and the Reb Chaim Brisker was siding with the Rebbe Rashab against the Maskilim and all those that were there. And at some point they passed a message to the Rebbe Rashab that if he doesn't back off, this particular Gzeira has to pull through. If he doesn't back off, there will be pogroms and the government will not stop it. Okay? This wasn't an empty threat. This was a very real threat. We're talking about times when communities were wiped out, when the mobs just woke up and just, and no one had to give a din v'cheshbon. The government didn't mix in, and the fate was sealed. And hence, what basically happened is, from becoming a shaila of chinuch, it became a din of pikuach nefesh, of kills by Yisroel. So many Rabbanim backed off. The Rebbe Rashab continued. The Baal Yom Haledes continued. So Reb Chaim Brisker asked the Rebbe Rashab, Lubavitcher Rebbe, Avos verlost sich. What are you relying upon? So the Rebbe Rashab said, Azoi kumt merois. This is the way he says, Ugelegt by me. This is what comes out that smells right. So Reb Chaim Brisker asked Lubavitcher Rebbe, und auf dem verlost sich? You rely on that? So the Rebbe Rashab said, yeah. I don't remember if the Rebbe Rashab said it in this specific time, that from his bar mitzvah, he trained his body to follow Shulchan Aruch, and his body should just instinctively do what halacha says, whether it was here or not. But the Rebbe Rashab said, yeah, verlazach. So the Reb Chaim Brisker said, Eba zei verlazach zechoichet. And they poiled. They fought against the Gzeira, and it doesn't mention, but as far as I understand, the threat was empty. Baruch Hashem wasn't realized. And the Rebbe unpacks this story. And the Rebbe says, what's the Yirah for us? And Befrat, all of us sitting together now, taking the time to Farbrengen. The Rebbe says, we know that whatever is going to be La'asid Lavai very soon, when Mashiach comes, whatever will take place is all created and brought about through Ma'aseinu V'Avodaseinu Meshach Kol Zman Meshach HaGolus, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya Perek Lamed Hey Lamed Vav Lamed Zayin. And the Rebbe says we know to the extent, and this is my own words, but to the extent that imagine walking down the street in not a long time when the switch flicks up and we see the Eibush is not concealed anymore. And you could look around and see the effects of the Geula and trace it back to what you did. Imagine that. We have to tell this to our children. What you're doing is not just for your schar. You're creating a new environment in this world in which we're all going to live. We're all going to be thankful to you, yourself included. So the Rebbe says, if this is true, we know one of the famous nevuos, prophecies that is going to come to pass, is the fact that Mashiach will be moirach v'doin. He'll smell, and based on that, he'll paskin. He'll rule, give a verdict. And the Rebbe asks, where do we see that in our time of Golus that we have this power? Says the Rebbe, this koch that's given to Mashiach, which is the leader of Yemaisa Mashiach, is given by us in the moments of Golus. When we decide, the Rebbe says sometimes there are things that aren't clear in Shulchan Aruch. It just doesn't smell from Yerushalayim. I'm sure you could get a cheeseburger that's kosher, glatt kosher, and fake cheese. For Yerushalayim schmeckt es nicht. The Rebbe says, if you decide to paskin based on your sense of smell, your sense of ruchniyus, you empower Mashiach to have that koyach. Said everything that happens lost love is from our Maseinu. Now, we're not telling, it's not for you to go out and judge other people or tell other people. But the Eibishter benched you with children. The Eibishter gifted you with neshamas that you have the schus to guide, to lead, to develop, to nourish. And this sensitivity is the biggest gift you can give them. And when you have this sense and you give it to them by presentation, by living by example, whether it's to the Shabbos, the way you approach a tefillah, the way you approach a mitzvah, they listen to what you say derech agav even more than what you, sometimes you think chinuch is like you open the curtains, listen to your children, watch this. This is what I want you to be. They watch much more when the curtain closes and what you do derech agav and what you do for yourself. And we have to heighten our sensitivity. And this moirach v'doin, when you do it for yourself, they see you decide, you know what? Everybody has it. Everyone does it. It doesn't matter. We're zeichet to have a home that's a small Tomchei Tmimim. Our home is our oasis, our island of Kedusha. And for Yisroel, as described about the Rebbe Rashab, they wish they were us. Let's share the light. This is the emes. This is what we're living for. This is a bracha to give when given to our children, and we have to have it to give it. You can't give what you don't have. You have to be. And you should just know, I'm going to share this as one of the big themes of the Rebbe Rashab, which is Avoda. You should know that there used to be a notion in parenting and an understanding that the father has to be perfect. And if he's perfect, the children can be makabel. But if he's flawed, if he has his own problems, if he has his own, stains and his own schwachkeiten, weaknesses, So then, what's my son going to think? It's a law. You should know that a son, if he sees his father, Kolshkin, if he hears it, his father's working on one area in his life. He could be very weak in other areas. I've had in our cheder parents that are shvach. They don't have a beard, for example. But I tell the parents, if you want, your son shouldn't be ripped between two worlds. In the yeshiva, we talk about the Tzemach Tzedek's psak that Misprayim came tar, and that it's the Raisa, etc., etc. If you want, your son shouldn't look down at you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need that he should know you're working on what you could work on. Then you'll see a son that will never look down at his father, even if, because the son says, listen, for me, that's not an assign. For me, there's other things that are an assign, but my father is an MSA And this is where it's at. The Rebbe Rashab speaks, there's a tremendous Hamshach in Samach Vav, Umikne Rav, which discusses the tremendous greatness of a Yid that Pashat Brechtzach and works. And you should know, no one needs to be complete. And in our generation, Avoda is not to be complete. And those that think and follow the old school of thought that you have to show your son as if you're complete, you are setting him up for failure. You're setting him up for failure. Is he ever going to be complete? He's not. And then he thinks, if he'll buy into your story, so he's going to break himself the whole time. I'm not the way I should be. I'm not the way my father is. I'm not perfect. And in our day and age, the people, like my Zayder and Moshe Rubin used to say, it's a papier in a mention. They're not. He say, I'm also going to give a mention with Zayd in a cap and leather in a beicher. Once upon a time, people had silk heads and leather stomachs, which means they were able to stomach anything, and their head was silk, was delicate, was able to differentiate and understand dakas de kenyan and very, very fine details and svaras. Today, he says, I just leather in a cap and zayd in a beicher. The heads are heads of leather till something gets in there, but the stomach is super delicate. Mamish, what goes in. So, we're at a point that the children are not strong in character. They need so much support, validation, love, being noticed, being accepted. And when a child thinks that your expectation is he should be perfect, first of all, you set him up for failure because he's never going to be it, and he's always going to be chasing something he's never going to get. Imagine that. We want them to celebrate. Like the Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe already in Tanya, we're talking about the Chassidim of the Chadorim, a Beinoni, says it's about celebrating the moment. Never being spoiled the fact that there's an Efsha Bahamas that keeps on drawing you down. What's the Chiddush? You have a behema? We all have a behema. That's the Alter Rebbe. Beinoni is struggling with Machshavas Niyuf in davening. That's not, you have to be besimcha. They're just giving you an opportunity to be koivish, to suppress your Yetzirah, and get a schar for every al kol dechiyah. In addition to that, and that we need to teach our children. We need to teach this to our children. And we need to exercise it ourselves. In addition, if you try to sell the yacht that you're perfect, which again is against the description of a Yid in Tanya, which is the primary book that analyzes the spiritual makeup of a Yid, what a Yid is comprised of. And he doesn't hold us at Alter Rebbe. But let's say you're selling that boat. Lo yimalit, it's mochrach that he's going to see you break. Because how long could you hold up a sheker? And then, if your power of educating him is predicated on the fact that you're a Muslim, the second he sees it break, you're done. The whole tower of cards collapses. We need to teach our children in Seif Zman HaGolus, we celebrate a Yid that in this darkness is able to overcome. And we celebrate the fact that we work on ourselves. We celebrate the time that we cut out of our day and, so to speak, close our phone. It's Shabbos that time. So he's like the Rebbe. And this is not my dogma, the Rebbe's dogma. Shabbos, close your phone. A business deal, on Shabbos you wouldn't pick it up. Give them a feeling of what it means to be in control. I'm soon going to get to the questions that were asked, but this Nakud of developing by our children this sensitivity. And even more, to be honest, our children were gifted with this sensitivity, with this purity, with this tara. We have to help them fight for it and never to let go of it, to celebrate it. This is the gift the Eibusha gives Seis Mana Golos, and we have to make sure to hold on to it. I'm going to go for a few. I'm going to share for a few moments. They asked me to discuss technology, and there's a whole bunch of a lot that I want to share in the present times we live in. I've seen a tremendous surge in Chassidishe houses, which the Aver is a strong one, and parents that stood on guard over the last 4 years. There's been a tremendous bilbul. Why? First came Corona, and then all of a sudden, what the medical professionals think is a true, not true, and conspiracies, and all of a sudden became a legitimate discussion. Vaccines and which Rabbanim, and the Rabbanim said this. Were they right? Who they follow the doctors? We're not getting in. We're not going back there. We're not taking. I don't want to. We never. Al Tavienu L'Dei Nisayin and Val Tavienu L'Dei Vizayin. But that was the beginning, and then came the war. First, the war in Ukraine, and then the war in Eretz Yisrael. The war in Eretz Yisrael all of a sudden legitimized showing video clips of soldiers, men, girls, etc., and violence, sharing information. And now every parent is obviously very careful. They try to limit the amount of information. But just imagine if in your family you shared one detail, another family shared another detail. Between all the kids in the class, they got the whole story. And if they're missing any details, they'll ask their parents, and at that point they'll share. Things that would never come into a house, to news. Let the people that need to deal with the news deal with the news. But all of a sudden, it's Eretz Yisrael. It's our brothers and sisters. It's Deiraisa to know. Now, be'emes, when you go and sit down and check the news and find out what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, is it mamish kir for Eretz HaKodesh? So sit down and say a kapitel Tillim. Say Tillim, you'll help much more. Or let me say it differently. When you sit down to open the news, you talk a bit, it's out of kir for Eretz Yisrael, or if you had something more nagea, you would have in a second just skipped it and done something else. So it's not a passion for Elamai. We all have a Yetzer Hara. But what falls through is the sensitivity. What falls through is the sensitivity. And that was only, compounded with then recently the politics and the presidential elections. And what do you mean? We need to know who's good for the Yidden with anti-Semitism. And over this span of time, a tremendous amount of things that are not appropriate in a Yiddish home have found their way in. You don't want to think for a second, befrat now we're sitting by Chassidishe Farbrengen, that anything is lost. It's a decision. You are the captain of your ship. You decide what you're about, what makes you tick, and recommitting to that. If you come in and the highlight of your day is not the fact that you're able to sit down and just let go, your highlight of the day is to share something you heard on the way to work and the way back in a shir Torah. But in the kid's mind, that's what my father's about. What do you think? He thinks you learned the whole day? He knows you're not in koilo. That's not the nakuda. What makes you tick, that's I'm going to share, and this is in regards to prevention. There was once a boy that came to Cheder with a small leather yarmulke. Okay, totally inappropriate for our culture and our environment. The kids know it's not in the rules. It's not in the spirit of Cheder, and he was walking around in class and just getting excited about it. Now I'm really, at least the mile of our Cheder is that we're all on the same page, so we don't have to deal. It's not like we need rules enforced. We have to bring between each other and strengthen ourselves so certain things don't come in to begin with. But once again, I came in, I called him out. I said, where's your regular yarmulke? He right away took it out. I said, leave it by me. Your Tatty could come pick it up. Don't worry. No worries, you'll get it back. And the father came in with me he came in to meet me. My son really wants the yarmulke. Don't worry, it all worked out perfect. He's a phenomenal bacher. He's actually now in Shir Dalid, and he's soon going on Shlichus. Very, very special bacher. Special neshama. Okay, he was super excited about this yarmulke. He pushed his father, he wants the yarmulke. So the father and the mother were sitting together in a meeting, and he said, what do I do? My son wants a leather yarmulke. So I said the following, and I want to share this, because this is a thought that we should all take to heart. Chaim l'chaim. Should be svadius pe'ilos. And the Mazal Gerber, the Bal Yom Oledes, should shine bright within all of us through the Rebbe, Malam HaKoimai, the vision that gives us Dvar Havaya for our generation, for each of us Chassidim. Chaim l'chaim. So, I told him the following: if a boy comes and says, "I want this and this yarmulke," you have a problem. You don't want to get petty and get scared and make as if the whole Yiddishkeit is crumbling because of this yarmulke. That is the worst, the absolute worst message. You go and you buy the kid the yarmulke, but you want to make a cheshbon and nefesh. Because the real avoda as parents is prevention. How does it get to a point that he wants such a yarmulke? If when he was, and I'm just using the mashal yarmulke, don't get stuck on it, okay? If when he was, let's take a haircut for example, okay? If when he was 3 years old, you tell him, we're going to buy you a zay yarmulke that has olive base on the yarmulke, okay? As an Eidl, I like, and walking down the street, you express excitement and appreciation. Look at this Chassidishe bacher. You'll grow up to be such a bacher. Oh, look at that haircut. Then you take off certain requests from the table. You should know that only in a certain environment a kid can ask for such a yarmulke. B'derech klal. I mean, I want to tell you there are yotzim in a klal. And as the Rebbe told Harav Benun, Alexander Benun, I think his name was, that he wrote a few klalim in Chinuch. The Rebbe said, you're missing one klal. Klal is that in Chinuch there's no klalim. that there could be yitzim in a klal. But generally, creating a strong environment, and I'm not talking about pressure, talking about a Geshmak environment in which we're proud of who we are, and we're excited with our style of serving the Eibishter. When that happens, and then you say, this is like a Geshmak yarmulke, and for years you say, oh boy, he says, listen, your older brother now got a yarmulke like the Rebbe wears. So yarmulke, material yarmulke like the Rebbe wears. The kid is going to feel out of place at some point, and that's not only about the yarmulke. It's not about the yarmulke. It's very petty. There's so many different discussions that are ruled out. And that's why this Farbrengen is so important. That's why living like a chassid is so important. Because you're taking away the nisyanis from our children. You're giving them the gift of clarity. And you're pashat negating so many funny Hanochos ha'olam that fall from all sides. If he's proud of who he is, in his mind, everyone wishes they were like me. And this was a quote about the yarmulke haircut. We don't take responsibility to have all the answers, or for everything to have all the answers for our children. We have to take responsibility for the questions that are asked, because the questions generally are asked within a certain environment, and it's a big avoda. I'm not making light of it. But that is a Chassidishe Farbrengen. And more than that, I want to share, making Chassidishe Farbrengens in your house is a primary way of setting the tone of what our family is about. Shabbos Soda. But also the casual, I give a shir in Rambam, people know that. And a woman contacted Irgun Torah, Rabbi Rashab. He was shout out to Rabbi Rashab, an unbelievable chassid that transformed Crown Heights with the amount of shiurim and shiurei Torah, and he's pumping away with the help of some other tremendous chassidim like Reb Levi Nimrovsky and many others. Rabbi Rotban, she contacted and she said, I want to donate towards the Rambam shir. I said, well, what's going on? She said, I'll tell you the truth. My husband comes in, he turns it on, he puts it on the table. He says many times he's learning Rambam. Sometimes, our house is a different house. There's no Tatty learns Rambam. They never knew. They never knew he learns. They never knew he has a say there. And this is how we permeate our homes. You should know that Rabbi Gluchovsky in Eretz Yisrael said he has this funny theory. He was thinking and considering that maybe you should be able to light your menorah near your computer because it's the door to the whole world, right? Our houses are not as insulated as they used to be at all. Okay, once upon a time, there was a phone that was on a hook, was on a wire. If you wanted to talk to someone outside, to come. Okay, you wanted to, there was a computer when the computer started, and in the parents' bedroom there was a computer, and there was computer time. Today, two parents are walking around, and maybe some older siblings, with a computer in their pocket, at their disposal at any given moment. I want to dedicate a few minutes before we continue this thought, and this was another question about technology that was brought up. Should a kid have an email address, etc.? Our goal for the children today, the most important thing in a world of so much, not only uncertainty, such a lack of stability. People aren't grounded. People are not disciplined. Don't have toikif in their life. We want to give our children, we want to validate them, we want to give them a sense of connection. We're there for them. They have security, a sense of security in their life. Their parents are there. And it's so hard to convey that when the parents are distracted. We didn't grow up in such homes where the parents have the whole time checking. And Farbrengen about it, thinking about it now, will give us the koch to process this and see it from a children's perspective. You should know that us giving them this gift of showing them how we are disciplined, and everybody the fum shir delay as much as you're able to. When you put your phone on the side, this will give them, first of all, the gift now of being with them totally, not half of your attention, and it also gives them the gift of and the skill and modeling the skill of discipline for them to make real choices in their lives. And they see it from us. They're going to get it from us. Back to the question if they should have an email account, for example. And I'm just using this this was a question that was asked, and I want to use it as a springboard to bring the final point I'm going to make now, which is that children are beautiful. Our children are beautiful, these neshamas. And we want them to sit in a class and think about Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, notice the wording in which the Eibishter wrote through Moshe Rabbeinu, the Eibishter gave the Torah, and the wording that was used, the way Rashi analyzes why were these words used, and break down the word, prefix, suffixes, and out of these words create a picture. We want them to take every din in a Mishnah and unpack the live discussion in the Beis Medrash of the Amoraim. Okay, we want them to live the Shakla V'Tarya, because the nuances make the difference of how the Psak Halacha is. We want them to be it's not only focus, which technology is nibbling away or biting away, eating shticker from. It's about the world is in front of you. The more concrete it is, the more and the less abstract, the less virtual it is. When a kid knows, I may have gotten an email, send it to me. My parents have an email they're going to buy online. It opens their mind, and they're going to need to know how to navigate a world. Daiganish. The Eibishter v'daiganim frazeh. If you daigan the time that he's supposed to be dedicated to Torah. right now, taking their mind out of the classroom to an endless amount of possibilities. Maybe I got an email. If you send it to me, I heard something. I'm not even talking about cyberbullying. There are things happening. This is the place where I want to go find out what happened. Or we could buy here, we could buy there. Life is not simple. And the more simple life is, the more a child is able to process what goes on around him. The more endless possibilities, and I'm not even talking about the crazy things going on online. I'm talking about the fact that it's virtual. The fact that there's another whole world out there, takes away from the child the possibility and the necessity of processing the concrete world around him, interactions. We want our children to feel connection. They're not getting that through interacting with a piece of plastic, calling their friend. Now, it is a means of communication. You could call their friend. That's not the point we're making. We need them to be down here and talk to their friends, talk to their parents, bond. The more abstract and the less concrete it is, the more we introduce them earlier on, the more we rob them of this basic human, not only necessity, but it's pivotal for them to succeed in life, right? We all know that social intelligence is where it's at in terms of people being successful in whatever they do, whatever shlichus they're destined to be. And this we need to give them. The more you take this to heart, the more we take this to heart, the more we spend time with them with what's in front of them. And again, never turn it into a fight, right? Never turn it into a fight. It's not, Yiddishkeit's not going down. It's Geshmak, okay? And you're spending the time just, he wants this. Once he already wants it, you'll figure out how to limit it without a power struggle. But then, the Cheshvan Nefesh tells us, the Chassidishe Farbrengen, when we stop and we think, what is Rebbe Rashab? How do we bring Kedusha into this world? How do we have his neshama shine and his sensitivity to Ruchniyus be at its heightened state where he craves Ruchniyus? By deciding what our home is going to look like, what we're going to make a big deal of, what we're sensitive to, which songs we play in our house. This is Vild. It's mimicking the world style. It's Heipech Hanochos Ha'olam. So I'm going to share a few stories that give us a light into what Chassidim did to have a Chush, a Geshmak in Ruchniyus. They say about Reb Wolf Gringlas, Shpia and Tomchei Tmimim in Montreal, was a close friend of my Zayder, Moshe Rubin. He escaped. He was in Tomchei Tmimim Matvatsk and Shanghai. And he was once asked, or he once expressed himself, why is he so machmer and kashrus? He said, I'm machmer and kashrus because I want to have dreams of tzaddikim. I want to dream of tzaddikim. Okay? It's a window into a much more refined world. It was Rebbe Avram Ella Plotkin, which was a Chassidus of the Rebbe Rashab. He was around Baltimore, and he taught Chassidus in a literature yeshivas, and he had many mushpaim. And one of them asked him, why always your yarmulke is sticking out from under your hat in the back and it's also scrunched? Why don't you in the morning just put the yarmulke in the middle and put your hat down and you'll look wonderful? And he said, you should know that my Yetzer Hara tells me every morning. And we haggle over it. I say, no. And he says, yeah. And our whole fight is about where the yarmulke should be. He never gets to fighting what's in my head. This is the godless of Iskafia. The fact that we decide on his turf what we're going to limit ourselves, where we're going to exercise our neshama's power of dictating, of ruling the ship, that makes that he shouldn't nibble away in where the Oasis and the Rabbanans are. He doesn't even get close to there. Okay? says about Reb Hillel Paracher. The Reb Hillel Paracher said all the chumras are kedai that he shouldn't. He should have an uplig in Chassidus. Uplig in Chassidus means that the Chassidus should be the inyanim that he learns about the lakus, about, like my brother says, Hashemliness, should be pashut in his life. It should be simple. So uplig, it should be such an understanding, a ga'tlicha perspective. And these are the type of things, to understand the value. It was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. His name was the Pesach Malstovker. He had a brother that was a gvir, but a very worldly, seems like self-centered, and very, very much about his money. And Reb Pesach was a real baldarga, Ahavas Hashem, Yirאת Hashem, and Reb Pesach would have to come to him every time he needed to marry a daughter to ask him for help. Reb Pesach sat and davened and learned, and he was very nechshav. His brother respected him, but his brother was about and invested in his money. And every time he would come to ask for his brother's financial support for this upcoming wedding, his brother would take him around and show him. He says, "Sure, I'll help you. I just want to show you the new extensions I made in my house and show him new gadgets and whatever else he developed in the house." And he would take him around. And Reb Pesach, this was mimenu v'hala. This not only didn't interest him, it disgusted him. The koch and Gashmiyus he couldn't handle. I think about this, it's either about this. The Rebbe Chazes Ma'aser Rav, a saying of a chassid, and it could even be, it was said by Reb Pesach about his brother. He said that, there's a one chaya that licked biz the nose in schmutz. It's in schmutz, in blotter, till the nose. And the whole time it has one thing on its mind. Why can I only go until here? Why can't I even, it would be even better if I would be able to cover even higher. Why? He has a daiga. Azay Reb Pesach looked at his brother, his investment in Olam Hazan and Gashmiyus. He couldn't handle it. It reached, it busted the seams. It was one night he Farbrengen till very late. And 4 o'clock in the morning, by the end of the Farbrengen, Reb Pesach, this is the Alter Rebbe's Chassidim, and he's going home, and he's kitov liber bayayin. He's after Farbrengen and experiencing and vaking, marinating in Ga'tlichkייט and in Chassidus for many hours. He decided he's going to pay a visit to his brother, and he comes and he starts banging on the shoibim. There were the shutters, the Russian cold. If it closes beyond the window shouldn't bust. Because it's banging. It's snow outside. Because the Pesach's brother opens the shaib and sees. He says, "The Pesach was tutzach. It's 4 o'clock in the morning." The Pesach says, "To sagen ein Mol, the Werter euren Soif is wert mehr von alles was du hast." One time to say the mere words, Eur ein Soif, the endless light of the Eibishter, the infinite light of the Eibishter, is worth more than all that you have. To come to this realization, to appreciate a Vort Chassidus, to appreciate a Chassidishe Maisa, to live a Chassidishe Niggin. What defines the difference between a person that's focused and driven and is sensitive to Ruchniyus, to a person that his vision is blurred? It's a niggin away. Kol musalev, sich ausdrücken. It's a niggin away. To get this chush in nigina, a chush in a chassidishe maisa, is what chassidim daven for. For a child and for us. To appreciate a Vort chassidus to the extent that, it was worth living for, just for this Vort. Friedrich Rabbi used to say, there's a Vort, the Friedrich Rabbi writes how chassidim would stand and observe a chassid davening, Avodas HaTefilla, and each one in his business mind, the sheikhid would say, this is worth a zaitel. I would give for this a side of a behemoth, like the whole ribs, one whole side. The other one, and each one based on his business, he would evaluate. We need to convey this to ourselves while Farbrengen. The appreciation to stand one time and daven in front of the Eibishter. Now, contrasting such a niggin that was created through Avodas HaTefilla with songs what's the problem? One of the questions that were brought up is, what's the problem with music? Random music that's imitating the worldly styles now. But, it ticks. It has a stuck a pasuk to it. So, and again, I'm not talking down in this place for every... there's a time called L'Kol Zman Ve'ez Tachas HaShemesh, and we just had the Pagisha weekend, and unbelievable what's done with Yiddishkeit that could be brought to the masses, people that need to get chizuk. But in your Oasis, and when you're trying to give a sensitivity, this this could be fighting and blowing the other direction. So, to illustrate this problem, my sister was once doing Shas Chinuch in camp, and she asked me, how do I explain them? The like why it's so important, or what's the danger. So I said, you know what? Take a tape. Those are the days of the tapes. Okay? And collect a few songs, sad songs. Okay? Sad songs, we all heard them, that everyone all of a sudden closes their eyes and starts thinking all the problems in their life. And then take a few booming trance songs, freiliche songs. We all know what those are as well. And you could see if a song is a Chassidishe song by the way people dance with it by a chasana. Note. And it's and have them all chart. They should all sit with a piece of paper, play a sad song. And then they should write down what were their thoughts while they were playing the songs. They should say, I wish I was, and I'm the worst situation in the world, and why has always happened to me, and they should have Rachmanos on me in the better cases. And then, when there's freilich a song, what are the emotions that come up for you? So you write down, they all wrote down, you're on top of the world, I'm unstoppable, unbreakable. Good. Then have them look at it. And she did this. And as I say, let's make as if you just found this paper. Look at this paper and read. This is the way the person feels. 3 minutes like this, 5 minutes like this. 3 minutes like this, 5 minutes like this. Analyze, where does such a person belong? A person with such mood swings, 5 minutes to 3 minutes to 5 minutes, the saddest case in the world, of freilich is on top of the world. This person he needs to be institutionalized, right? Elamai. Why not? Because he's not really riding his own emotions. He's connecting with the emotions that are being conveyed through the song. Having said that, imagine for a second, when you sit down and listen to music, there are people that you wouldn't eat in their house. You wouldn't eat their hechsher, or let alone if he's not Jewish, you wouldn't want your relationships to look like this guy's and the way he leads his life. So if he would start spewing his life, his world on child to you, you would have argued with it. But now he's come from the back door. He's giving you an experience to experience his emotions. And that speaks louder, right? The emotions are reality in our life. The way we feel, that's the way we start perceiving, right? I don't need to bring examples for that. And therefore, when you listen to music, goyish music, or unedel music, you're really riding on the emotion. That's why you don't institutionalize such a person, because he's not really his emotions. He's just connecting to the one singing. And I'm not even talking about beruchnis. I'm talking about emotionally begashmiyus. There are certain, if you wouldn't eat in his house, if you wouldn't rely on his hechsher, why would you take on his emotions and let him control your mind as well? So we have to develop a sensitivity to that. And, like we said, a tremendous koch and passion in having a value for Chassidishe nigin, Chassidishe maisa. Your son can't get excited about a Vort of the Rebbe, a video of the Rebbe, if you're not excited about it. Your son will know what you post on your status, not because he sees it, but because he knows what you're about, what gets you excited. And you have to rethink. You really have to consider. If it's news, and today news is like closely connected with celebrities, and these are the people you look up to, we have to make a cheshbon nefesh. And don't worry, it's not a yes or no, and it's not a musa shmuz. It's a time to recommit. Okay? You get a Geshmak and a Sikha of the Rebbe, you get clarity from the Rebbe's perspective on Inyanim, share that passion. How that's valued. L'chaim, like we said, no klippa can be chased out, or no emotion can ever be chased out with sticks. It has to be replaced by oil, by lichtigkeit, by Geshmak, and invest in it. The biggest shlichus the Eibusher has given each and every one of us is our children. We have the schus to navigate their ship, and let's take it b'simcha. They're ve'eshav levav like they banim. They bring our hearts closer to the Eibusher by being who they are. Us disconnecting from the world and connecting with them, giving them a real sense of connection by being there for them, with them, telling them a story, bringing them into the world of story, before they go to sleep. This is developing the frontliners that will burn down the walls of Galus and bring the Geula now.